The Hunt was one of the most anticipated events on Roblox since the Egg Hunt. No, I'm not kidding. The event was proclaimed to be 2 weeks of fun, but in the public's opinion, it wasn't that good. But what do I think? Is the Hunt really as bad as they say? Well, I'm here to tell you about my experience playing the event, some standout moments, and maybe some gameplay sprinkled in. This one's a bit different than my usual videos, so grab your popcorn and subscribe just because, and let's answer the question, was the Hunt good? Before we begin, let me run down how this will go. There were many genres of games in the 100 games chosen by Roblox, ranging from roleplay games, horror games, obbies, and even racing games. So instead of reviewing every single game in this damn event because it would take way too long, I'm going to group up the games into genres and talk about the games that stood out to me in said genres, if there are any. With that out of the way, let's finally begin with... I felt like this game was a good one to start with, because of just how bad they are. Most of these games fell under the same gist: collect items while traversing their map. Games like Greenville and Metro Life were the most unbearable collector events for me, but nothing could go below the worst roleplay game in this list: Livetopia. This game is simply a waiting game. Barely any mechanics, and all you do is wait. When you first start this event, the game tells you to break the crate, so you break it. Simple enough, right? But then, you have to sink the ice that was inside the crate in a pool of hot water for 3 whole minutes! This is the type of quest that should take like 10 seconds or maybe 15 to heat up, but 3 minutes is way too long. The same thing happens again with the safe. Granted, there's a minigame this time, but it does not make up for the minute-long cooldown between each of them. I don't want to rant about this for too long, so I'll stop now, but you get my point. I feel like this quest could have been much better if it had been shorter. Now, of all the negative things that I said about the RP games, there has to be one good one, right? Thankfully, there is. And that one is... Bayside High School. When I first joined this game, I was expecting another slop event like the others. At this point, the RP games I had done were Livetopia, and another game called Maple Hospital, which wasn't bad, but it could have been better. When I joined Bayside, I was expecting an alien story or a collection sim, but no! When I stepped foot in that time machine, I immediately knew I was in for something. What? Where? Great! It's rhythm game time, baby. Man, I was not expecting a rhythm game when I went into this. I was expecting like a generic alien story with like bad story. This is already the best one in the roleplay genre. Instead of the generic loop of a walk and talk, it was a rhythm game, and it wasn't bad. The music was catchy, the aesthetic was very good, and it had actual animated cutscenes. The music in question is the one playing in the background right now. This is certainly not what I was expecting when I decided to play Bayside. But hey, it's good. I'm not complaining. It feels like since I'm talking about it, I should really be discussing the... From what I can recall, there were only 3 rhythm games in the event. Bayside, which I talked about already, Funky Friday, which just has a few songs from the normal game, and technically RB Battles. Now, I have a history of RB Battles, as my antlers and crown are both trophies from those events. I have a whole damn series about it. I was going in with high hopes, and the game did not disappoint. I first had to do 3 minigames, which was just generic RB Battles quest gameplay, but then the bizarreness started happening. I was given a shard of glass to break, and then I was sent back to Mr. Boringworth's classroom. We then had a Parappa the Rapper-esque rap battle, just because, with rats being there for some strange reason. This was a crazy experience, and I love it for that. Alrighty then, let's see here. Next up is... Oh no. While I heavily disliked the roleplay games, I can't say they were the worst. I mean, not all of them were bad, but that can't be said the same as these simulators. Games like Lumberjack Sim and even Pet Sim 99 were just a drag. I even started doing my laundry during one of them. And unfortunately, this time there were no redeeming simulators. If there was a worse simulator that I would choose, it would be Pull a Sword, which is surprisingly a whole other rabbit hole in on itself. I'll probably make a video on it if this video does well. Anyways, on to the next one. These games are pretty good for the most part. I enjoyed these games and what they had to offer. Games like The Strongest Battlegrounds and Project Smash were pretty cool in my opinion. TSB especially was fun. It basically had you collect 11 keys to open a huge safe. Also, the most hilarious thing happened when I was getting the final key. To commit!
11 is crazy.
How many do you have?
Hold on. Let me check.
Deke! You remember how, Bro actually... Do you remember how Bro called us during school?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shoot! Yep, that's right. I summoned an army. Or Roblox just moved me to another server, which is the more likely opinion, but summoning an army sounds better. Anyways, before the infinite egg was revealed, and yes, there is an egg item in the hunt for 95 tokens, the Strongest Battlegrounds was the only event that I knew that gave an egg UGC without doing an extra side quest. And to that, great job Strongest Battlegrounds. They did the one thing that nobody else could do. And before you yell at me in the comments for being wrong and there being a whole lot of other games that gave egg UGCs, let me reiterate. They gave an egg without an extra side quest. I got the egg with the badge. Nobody else did that. Nobody! Anyways, another game that I really enjoyed playing was Death Ball. You heard me right, not Blade Ball, Death Ball. The ripoff of Blade Ball was better than the original. How? In all honesty, I would take a boss fight over quests any day. And even more so if the boss is fun. You basically play ping pong with the core block's death speaker while dodging his attacks. The mobility and variety of attacks, plus the unpredictability of the ball, makes this boss really fun. With that out of the way, it's time to talk about the final... Wait, what? What do you mean there's more? Well, I mean there's more. And I did wear that Strongest Battleground egg for the rest of the recordings. Might as well.
Hello there.
These games fell into two categories. The ones where you collect stuff, and the ones where you shoot stuff. The best two examples I know are Big Paintball 2 and Gunfight Arena. In Paintball, you had to tag people 50 times. Simple enough, right? In Gunfight, however, you had to collect 5 sets of 10 different items. Why not make it one set of 50? Anyways, the best shooter was Arsenal for me because it felt so well put together. I liked following the narrative of a spy mission and shooting the people. Before I continue, I just want to say one thing. This event made me so much better at shooters for no reason. Like, before this event, I was abysmal at shooters. Now I'm not great, but I'm good enough. It really helped out. Next up is...
You playing Minecraft. I like your cut, G.
You can guess what these are. Most of these boil down to complete the Tycoon, get the badge, or something correlating to that. The only ones I can recall that don't do this are the War Tycoons and Undead Defense, which all involve a shooter element. This is not a section worth talking about, so now I'm going to talk about... All these games are the exact same. Collect this thing, get the badge. There's only one event that doesn't do this and it's Card Crushers, where you just crash cars. This was the most disappointing of the bunch, but hey, at least I can speed. These games are pretty good. Most of these games were get items as animals or beat this quest of this dragon. All these games that had survival in it had you playing as an animal. Don't get me wrong, these games are cool, I'm just pointing out this trend. The one game I can remember not being an animal survival game was the survival game. I could have finished this event so much sooner, but I didn't. When I joined this game, I spawned right next to the boss that gave me the badge unknowingly. I perished in that fight. And because of that, I played the game normally and spent like, what, 20 minutes gathering wood and making a house. Just because I could. This game was a lot of fun and I have no regrets wasting my time in it. Another game I wanted to go more into depth is Sword Burst 3. This game was pretty cool and not for the events. The game had a huge variety of enemies and each attack that the enemy did was unique to them. Granted, I'm only in the first world, so that could change quickly, but it's not the only thing I liked. You can also do super cool combos, like this one, where you dash back and slash forward. It was great to pull off, and it was in the rhythm of the game. The event itself was just collecting eggs, but I didn't really mind this one because I was having fun while doing it. That's a good executed collector. Don't just leave them scattered, leave them in a way that allows the player to get immersed in the game, to see if they can like it. Others use this tactic too, like World Zero, so it isn't original. I just feel like out of the collectors I would choose, this would be my top pick. Okay, that had to be it. There's no way that there's... Jesus, however, so many genres in one event. Oh. Anyways, the tower defense games are nothing to write home about, but I'll try and differentiate them so you can get an idea of how similar most of them are, and also how different some of them are. Tower Defense Simulator is honestly my favorite TD game, but the event was nothing special. I like the execution of it and the story with core blocks in the Red Cliff Trader, but again, place towers, shoot enemies, it doesn't get simpler than that. Cheese TD is actually a game that stood out to me, but not for the reason you'd think. When I was scrolling through Twitter, now known as X, I saw that many people were banned from Cheese TD, and I was wondering why. So I googled it and found out that Cheese TD and a few other games were banned in other countries. Why though? I don't know. I couldn't find anything on it online. Now how about the game itself? Well, it's cool. Each tower has branching paths, which adds a variability. The egg minions were creative, and it was a decent experience all around. Oh god, this game. I can't believe I'm doing this game. Toilet Tower Defense is a tower defense game. I can't believe I'm saying this because it's Toilet Tower Defense, but honestly, it was nice. It was one of the most unique of the TD game events, being an egg hunt. It had me looking for a while, which was pretty cool. One of the eggs in the egg hunt was even on a really high volcano. This game was a nice change of pace, but with all those out of the way, let's finally continue on to something different, being... Come on, you know what an Obby is. I think the Obbies were the most mixed group on this list. On one hand, you have cool games like Carry a Friend or Obby on a Bike. On the other hand, you have this. This is indeed an Obby. It has been a while since we've had a long section, so time for me to go over some of the games that I liked. Carry a Friend was generic by all means, just being an Obby that you and a friend could do. It was the experience that was cool though. Hanging out with my friend Rack and trolling him to an extraordinary amount was really fun to me. The only thing holding it back was the scam of 90 friend invites to get a UGC that we thought was the dang badge! And now we're on Obby on a Bike. This game was boring for the most part, but the end was pretty cool. Going through the game on the Hunter Bike felt amazing. Most of the game was meh though, with the race in a private server and doing World 1 in under 13 minutes. Man, this game was a drag. And then there's Barry's Prison Escape Obby. I hate this game with all of my living being. Why? Just why? This is the worst game that anybody can possibly conceive of. I'm glad this event was short because I can spend an entirety of 3 minutes of this game instead of the usual hours. That thing alone is the only positive thing about this event. I am done talking about this! Sorry about that. Don't worry, this one's quick. So let's get it over with. There's only 3 games in this category: Football Fusion 2, Ultimate Football, and Super League Soccer. Ultimate Football and Super League were basically the same quest: complete a full match in each game. The last game, Football Fusion, was a pain for me though. It was simple: make a tackle and catch the ball. However, I could not catch the ball for the life of me, so that was a pain. Okay, after all of that, Are we finally on the final genre? Yeah? Thank God. Wait. What? Oh, you have gotta be! Before we get to the best group of games, I feel like these games should be mentioned. These weren't in any specific genre, so they weren't mentioned in any specific group. But man, I had fun with these. First up is Steep Steps. This game is a huge bundle of rage. The game's premise is that you have a ladder and it's your only way of getting up. I had a terrible time with this game and I loved it. I like the core blocks design and the fact that the ending of this game is so meta. Next up, Catalog Avatar Creator. When I joined this game, I was expecting to put on a core blocks outfit and be done with this game, but wow. This game went out of the way to not only add a fighting game, but to recreate the old feeling of Roblox in that game. While I may not be an old Roblox player, I am sure anyone who saw this got a huge nostalgia blast. Next is Break-In 2. When I was young, I played Break-In, like a lot. But for some reason I never got around to playing 2. I just saw it on YouTube and that was it. When I played the game for the Hunt badge, well, I liked it. Grinding out my speed and strength to one-shot the burglars was a great feeling. And the bosses were all very cool. Finally, please donate. The main reason why this category was created. This game was great, but I didn't know what genre to put this in. This event was extremely high quality, having smooth animations and intuitive but long gameplay. This was not something I was expecting from a game that literally asks you to donate Robux to them. But good job! Now, with all those mentions out of the way, we can finally talk about the best genre in the game, which is... I cannot reiterate this enough. The horror games were the best. Some bias for my love of horror games may be talking here, but those games were some of the best experiences in this event. I can go into more depth with some of these games, and I will. So here we go. Out of all the games, I was saving the Mimic till the last. And it was also my first experience with the Mimic. And let me say, it did not disappoint. The sheer stress of Jump Trap, yes, I'm dubbing the bunny Jump Trap, deal with it. Chasing you while you get eggs to sell is amazing. Definitely worth holding out till the end for this. I never thought I would like 3008 as much as I had. After all, it's a game with employees chasing you. That was all it was to me. But when I was playing, trying to complete the objectives, I had fun. Running from employees, checking out abandoned bases, surviving blood moons. It was fun. Not as good as the other ones, mind you, but I had a fun time. The Piggy event feels like a love letter to the evolution of Piggy as a game. In the first half, it's a generic Piggy jump scare where you have to escape from a basic enemy with a not that good jump scare. But in the second half, you start to realize what this event truly is. In this half, you face off against Black, the fourth enemy that I've ever seen, with a unique mechanic and a great jump scare. The other bosses that I know have mechanics are Mr. P with a stun gun, Willow with an actual gun, and Tio with the chase scene. I later learned that there are a lot of other unique bots in the game that I have missed out on. But back on topic. The last mechanic is that there is an eye around the map. If the eye sees you, Black goes there. He is blind otherwise. I feel like this event is showing the evolution of Piggy, from a Granny clone to an IP that is truly amazing. And now we're on to Doors. This game was the best one for me, and also the first, and I was ecstatic to learn that this mode was here to stay. But what is it? Well, in this sublevel known as the Back Door, you face off against 3 entities, 4 counting Vacuum. At this point of writing the script, the hunt is still going on, and the Back Door is apparently still in some sort of demo phase. You heard that right, folks. After the hunt is done, the Back Door will apparently need requirements to enter, and it will be harder, with my interpretation being new entities. However, it is just my interpretation, so take it with a grain of salt. Anyways, my experience with the Back Door. Well, I had a lot of fun with it. This mission gave you a lot of stress with haste, an entity that is basically a rechargeable time limit. When playing the Back Door, there is a chance that you run out of time and saw this. He died, a red guy! Wait, what? Wait, that's Specimen 9! Surprisingly, on my first playthrough, I saw this. What the? When I did research, I found out that this isn't the normal jump scare, and it isn't a frame thing. as this jump scare doesn't appear on any frame of the normal jump scare. I believe that this is a mix of haste changing your screen saturation and Roblox freezing and blurring the game, which makes that weird jump scare. I just wanted to put that in. Back on track, haste gives an incentive to run to the exit as fast as you can because unlike in the hotel or the rooms, you don't have time to waste. The other 3 entities of this level also help elevate the stress of haste in different ways. Vacuum, while not talked about much, and I can see why, it's a niche entity, keeps the player on track by acting as a dupe for the side doors instead of the main one. Lookman, an ice cone that follows you, acts as an incentive to stay focused and not just rush through. And the final one, Blitz. Blitz is the most stressful entity in this event because he likes to stall. A lot. Something that will be annoying in the main game, but detrimental in the back door. All of these add up to a challenging and very fun event that takes my medal as the best hunt event. Whew, that was a lot. This is my longest script yet, being twice as long as my Apriophobia one. So now, with an understanding of what each genre of games have to offer, let's answer the question. Was the hunt good? I mean it was okay. There were unbearable parts to it, sure, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. There were a lot of cool games I got to play, and I might play some of these games again, with one especially. But that's something for another day. I've been the Glitchmonger, and with that, see ya!